Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have some stories out of the Entitled Parents subreddit. Let's begin. Our first story is by NellyJelly155. Entitled parent tries to force her kids onto business class. So I was watching some commentary videos of this subreddit and realized I had the perfect story to tell. In April last year, me and my family had decided to go to Pakistan to visit family. We rarely go since it's an 8-hour flight and it's a super hot country, and tickets can be rather expensive. However, this particular time, my dad managed to find some plane tickets for business class, which were relatively cheap, and booked them. This was my and my siblings' first time traveling in business class, so needless to say, we were pretty excited. We get to the airport and check in, go through security, and chill in the business lounge until our flight. We were all in a pretty good mood and were excited to see where we would be sitting on the plane. We were in the first group to get on, and we all sat in our seats, just talking among ourselves. After we had been boarded, economy class then boarded. This is where things get a bit interesting. I sat next to this woman and her child, and she explained it was her kid's first time going to Pakistan, so she booked business class so they would have a comfortable flight, which I thought was sweet. Shortly after, a woman from economy walks through the curtain into business class and walks up to the lady, asking her why she was here. She told the woman what she told me, and it clicked that they were family, so I pretended to ignore them. The EP then walks up to one of the hostesses and asks if they can pay to be upgraded to business class. The hostess explained that wasn't possible, and the woman went back to her seat. I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. About 5 hours through the flight, my brother needed to go to the toilet. Both my parents were asleep, and I didn't fancy waking them up, so I took him myself. Even though he was old enough to go by himself, he's autistic, so he needs some help with some of the most basic things. It took longer than expected since my brother was messing around and acting up, but the time that we came back, we found 2 little boys sitting in our seats. I asked them to move, since I knew they weren't in business class. The business class section of the plane was so small that you could basically see everyone who was sitting there. They refused to, since they claimed their mother allowed them to sit here. Not wanting to kick them out myself, I explained the situation to the flight attendant, who escorted them back to their parents. I got my brother to sit back down with our mom, and I returned back to my seat, attempting to go back to sleep. It was then that the entitled parent stormed back in. She was furious that her kids had gotten kicked out of business class. She stated that the seats were empty and that my brother and I had stolen their seats. When I explained that I had taken my brother to the bathroom, that they were not in fact empty, she just replied with, "Well, surely they can sit here for a bit. It's not like they're harming anyone." The flight attendant tried to calm her down and get her to leave, but she wouldn't budge. "Why don't you sit with the rest of us?" she shouted, clearly angry at the fact that she was not on the same level as us. At this point, my dad had gotten woken up. He was a pretty grumpy guy when he got woken up rudely, and even more so if someone disrespects his family. He basically told the EP to shut her mouth and called her crazy in Urdu, to which the EP got offended and started cursing at him back in Urdu. My dad, not wanting to stoop to her level, rolled his eyes and put his headphones. After her meltdown, another flight attendant, this time male, explains that they may have to stop the plane and make an emergency stop to kick her off the flight if she doesn't calm down. This seemed to shut her up. She goes back to her seat, sulking. Luckily, nothing happened after that, and we could enjoy the rest of our flight in peace. Also, as it turns out, the woman I was sitting next to was EP.'s sister, and she was so apologetic to everyone for her sister's behavior. Couldn't imagine being sisters with someone like that. I agree, OP. Anyway, on to the next story. Our next story is by Toby7769. You can't stop me. A bit of background. I'm a swim mom and a swim coach. Not important to the story. My son swims for this rec swim, and during the off season he keeps in swim shape by doing clinics at the same pool. Today I was driving by this pool and saw people using the parking lot, and it reminded me of this story. The pool is a co-opt pool, which means it's basically a private pool, not public. There are 3 schools in the vicinity of this pool, an elementary, middle, and high school. The middle school hosts the soccer games on their back field, which is next door to the pool. Across the street are the high school, and it has a huge parking lot. Parking is scarce on the street, so it's hard to find a place in the park. Now that the story is set, let's get into the reason why I'm here. I'm in the parking at the pool lot, which holds 12 spots. Not a problem for the off season. In comes this huge SUV that takes up 2 spots. I'm thinking, I don't know this car, but hey, might be a new parent. I'll just tell them that they need to move to 1 spot. Now remember, this is off season, so the only equipment these swim kids need is a bag with suit, towel, and goggles. The dad goes back to the tail of the SUV and unloads a wagon with an ice chest, 2 chairs, and starts to head off towards the soccer field. Me, you can't park here unless you're using the pool. Dad, I was told I could park here, so F off. Me, this is private property. You'll be towed if you leave your car. Points towards the tow sign. Dad, you can't tell me I can't park on public property. Me, this is not public property. Dad, where do you suppose I'm supposed to park? Me, they're supposed to park at the high school. Not my problem. You need to move as we are using our lot. Dad decides he's going to push it. Dad, I'm calling your bluff and I'm going to go watch my son play. Me, would you let a stranger park in your driveway? I think if you came home, you would have the car removed. Am I right? This driveway belongs to the people who own this pool. We will be removing your car. I turn to go inside and call. Dad, fine, do whatever, but if my car isn't here when I get back, I'm contacting my lawyer. Needless to say, it was the first car we ever towed. It was not there as another pool member called while we were, and the truck got there rather quickly. I could hear the parents telling him he needed to move his car as well, as it was not that far. No lawyer would ever take this case, I'm sure. Besides, we never heard anything, and this was back in 2015. I have a friend whose kid plays soccer, and apparently he was told by the coach to move his car, other parents, and his son. When he came back and his car was gone, I was told he tried to take the door off of the pool building. We were closed by then. My friend said he was beyond angry. Hope you like this. I'm a teacher, a swim coach, so I have a bunch of entitled parent stories. On to our next story. If you're enjoying my content so far, please put some heart emojis in the comment section below. Our next story is by Reddit Oat Eater, entitled Mother Tries to Leave Her Sick Toddler with Me so that she can go work out. When I was a teenager, I worked at a gym that had a small room where members could leave their kids while they work out. There were basic rules like minimum and maximum age, 2-hour time limit, and no sick kids, etc. Members loved this feature, and there was sometimes a joke that they came in to work out to get some time away from their kids. One mother took the idea way too far. Cast: EM, entitled Mother, TT, 2-year-old toddler. EM was a regular who came in 5 days a week. Her child, TT, was a bit of a handful and typically required more attention than other children to make sure she played well with others. EM routinely tried to leave her child beyond the 2-hour time limit. She would often ignore calls over the intercom to return, and employees would need to go and find her and tell her that she needed to come and claim her child. What made this even more frustrating was when she was located, she usually wasn't even working out. For example, when they found her, she was reading a magazine in the locker room, and on one occasion, addressing a stack of invitations to a birthday party. She always had excuses about how she was only sitting down for a few minutes to cool down from her workout, or how there was no way that was 2 hours had passed. She even tried to write the wrong check-in time, e.g. 3:30 check-in, and she would write 3:50 when she dropped off her child. I was a bit more sympathetic than some of my other co-workers until this incident happened. Ian comes in with TT already crying. EM hands her to me and says to be careful because TT has been throwing up since yesterday. I tell her I cannot accept sick children, but she ignores me, scribbles the time into the log, and walks away. I can't even leave the room because I'm watching other children. I call the manager, and when he returns with EM, she claims that she had never said TT was sick and that I just didn't want to do my job. My manager backed me up and told her that she had to leave. He also told her if she ever violated the rules again, that she would not be allowed to use the childcare facilities anymore. I didn't work there for much longer. Why? Because I kept catching illnesses from sick kids. I don't have a strong enough immune system for childcare. Too long, didn't read. Entitled mom leaves her clearly sick toddler with me in childcare while she works out for 2 hours. Yeah, this woman is just using this place as a free childcare facility. If she could, she'd just leave her kid there all day long without giving it a second thought. I mean, that's how these entitled moms work anyway. On to our final story. Our final story today is posted by Dottie Sullix. Knocked unconscious on public transport thanks to an entitled mother. For clarification and understanding purposes, I have a medical condition in which my blood circulation is extremely weak. My average resting pulse is about 45 BPMs. When I sleep, it can go down to 30 BPMs, endangering my life. When I am physically active, not resting, etc., my pulse can rise to 60 BPMs. A pulse of 70 BPMs for me is like a pulse of 130 BPMs for someone who's normal or has healthy blood circulation. So I pass out extremely easily. Therefore, I need to be extremely careful about my movements, actions, and stuff, or else I get knocked unconscious in seconds of just standing up. I never thought I'd encounter an entitled parent myself, but unfortunately, I did yesterday. It was around 8:30 in the morning, and I was riding the bus to university. So I sit there on the bus, listening to music, minding my own business, and all of a sudden, someone taps me on the arm. "Excuse me, young man, could you please get up? This is my son's favorite spot on the bus," the entitled woman said. I replied, "What? I'm sorry, but I need this place. Come on, there's plenty of room for you to stand. Just get up and give us your spot." Me, "I really can't. I'm sorry. If I get up now, I will Ugh. Just get up. You seem fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just lazy. Don't want to stand." While I'm trying to explain to the EM my certain condition, in which I need to be careful about my movements because my pulse and circulation are extremely weak and fragile, she keeps on screaming about how I was stealing her son's happiness and how lazy I am for not standing up for a mother and her child. I was feeling my pulse rising because the argument and stress and this lady were causing me to get extremely anxious. I really didn't want to pass out on public transport. Her son looked really uncomfortable through this whole argument and even at one point tried to tell his EM to just leave me alone. The rest of the bus, of course, caught attention to the situation. All of a sudden, the EM grabbed my hand and tried to take my pulse. "Your pulse seems fine. What's wrong with you? Why can't you just stand up?" Her grip was firm and she left nail marks into my skin. She pulled me out of my seat, leaving me standing on the bus with an already way too high pulse for my condition. I tried to walk a few steps and find something to hold on to so I wouldn't fall, but it was already too late, and I fell to the ground, becoming unconscious in the middle of the bus. What happened after that, I don't quite know. I regained consciousness lying wrapped up in a blanket on the pavement surrounded by paramedics, police, and the bus driver. They explained to me what had happened while I was out. The police took statements from EM and some of the people on the bus and the bus driver, and they also took EM into custody. They asked me if I wanted to give a statement now or later, or when I recovered, and if I wanted to press charges for assault. And I, of course, said yes. All I heard from her after I woke up was just her screaming in disbelief and crying. So far, it's a sure thing that EM's health insurance company will be paying for the ambulance, the paramedics, and all the following other health bills. The public transport for that specific line was forced to stop for 3 hours just because an entitled mother didn't get her way. Currently, I'm in the hospital under supervision. I'll be released once they're sure my pulse and circulation are a little bit stronger. They know they can't cure it, but they said that they will try and make me at least a little bit more stable. Edit. Thank you guys so much for your lovely wishes. So far, I'm feeling alright and much better, but I'll probably be getting released tomorrow evening. I'll update you if I get an update on EM's charges. Second edit. After reading up on some of the insurance stuff, I think it was some kind of umbrella insurance policy and not only her health insurance. I have no clue how this works, and I can only go with the information my company has provided me, but you guys gave me some nice input. A big factor to take into consideration about this is that I'm German and this has happened in Germany. I also hope that the OP is well enough to get out of the hospital soon, too. Not all injuries, illnesses, and diseases are visible, and just because you can't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. Anyway, that's all the stories I have today. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. Links to the original stories will be in the description box below. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.